Lord, I give my day to you today. Let's see what happens after. Think about that for a second. How many times do we start our mornings with stress, rushing, planning every detail, only to end up exhausted and disappointed? But what if today you didn't fight alone? When people hear the word surrender, most imagine weakness, defeat, or giving up. But let me ask you something. What if surrender is actually the highest form of strength? What if surrender is not about losing control, but about stepping into a power far greater than your own? Think about it. Every single day, we try to control everything, our schedules, our results, our relationships, even our future. We write long to-do lists, chase deadlines, and overthink every detail. But deep down, we all know one truth. No matter how much we plan, life will always surprise us. And this is where surrender becomes strength. Because when you say, Lord, I give this day to you, you are no longer a prisoner of stress, fear, or doubt. You are making a bold statement. I trust a power greater than me. That's not weakness. That's courage. That's real inner strength. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. The first one says, I must do this all by myself. If I fail, it's all on me. He carries fear, pressure, and worry on his back like heavy stones. The second person says, I will do my best, but Lord, I surrender the outcome to you. He works with the same effort, but without fear. His steps are lighter, his mind is clearer, his heart is calmer. Now tell me, who's stronger here? The one drowning in fear, or the one walking in faith? Surrender with strength is not about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about doing everything you can, while knowing you are not alone. It's about replacing control with trust, anxiety with faith, and pressure with peace. And when you live like this, the whole world feels different. Science even shows this. Studies in psychology reveal that people who practice trust, mindfulness, and letting go of control experience lower stress levels, healthier bodies, and clearer decision-making. Isn't it amazing? Even science agrees with what faith has taught for centuries. When you surrender, you don't become weak, you become unstoppable. But let's go deeper. Why do we struggle to surrender? Because our ego screams, if I don't control everything, I'll lose everything. But look around. Has holding on too tightly ever given you real peace? Has worrying ever solved your problems? No. So why not try something different today? Surrender with strength means you fight differently. You fight with peace instead of panic. You fight with clarity instead of chaos. You fight with God by your side instead of standing alone. That's why surrender is not passive, it's powerful. Picture a warrior on the battlefield. He can fight with fear, doubting every move, or he can fight with trust, knowing a greater power is guiding his steps. Both are warriors, but one is exhausted and broken, while the other is fearless and focused. Which one do you want to be? When you give your day to God, you activate something greater within yourself. You activate resilience, you activate courage, you activate peace. That's why so many people who truly live in surrender radiate strength. They walk with a calm confidence, a light in their eyes, and a steady spirit that nothing can shake. And here's something most people miss. Surrender doesn't mean you will always get what you want. It means you will always get what you need. Sometimes the door you're trying to open isn't for you. And when you surrender, you don't waste years banging on the wrong door. Instead, you let God open the right one at the right time. Isn't that strength? To let go of what is not for you so you can receive what is truly meant for you. So, let's break it down. Strength and surrender looks like this. You wake up and say, Lord, this is your day, guide me. You face challenges not with panic, but with prayer and persistence. You work hard, but you don't carry fear of failure on your shoulders. You trust that whatever happens, it will lead you to growth, to wisdom, to purpose. And when life surprises you, because it always will, you don't collapse. You don't say, why me? You say, Lord, I trust you. Show me the lesson. Show me the blessing. That's strength at its highest level. Look at history. The greatest leaders, inventors, and changemakers didn't succeed by controlling every detail. They succeeded because they believed in something bigger, trusted the unknown, and surrendered their path to a higher purpose. They still worked, they still fought, but they also let go of fear. That's why their energy was unstoppable. So remember, this surrender with strength is not about quitting, it's about winning differently. It's about letting go of the illusion that you control everything and stepping into the truth that you are guided, protected, and supported. Say it with me now. Surrender is strength. Surrender is power. Surrender is freedom. Every single one of us carries invisible weights. Maybe it's fear of failure, maybe it's regret from the past, maybe it's anxiety about the future. These weights sit on your shoulders, press on your chest, and steal the joy out of your present moment. And yet, most people keep holding on to them day after day, thinking, if I let go, I'll lose control. But let me ask you something. Has holding on ever made you lighter? Has worrying ever solved the problem? No. Then why are you still carrying what was never meant to be carried alone? Releasing the burden doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you give up on responsibility. It means you recognize the difference between what you can control and what you must surrender. There is strength in saying, this part is mine, but that part is God's. Imagine the freedom of working hard while no longer dragging fear like a heavy chain. Think about how heavy stress feels in the body. Science shows that when we carry chronic stress, the brain goes into survival mode. Your heart races, your breath shortens, your mind becomes foggy. You start snapping at people, losing patience, struggling to sleep. And for what? For worries that 99% of the time never even happen. For fears that exist only in your imagination. But the moment you release the burden, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you feel that shift. Your shoulders relax, your breath deepens, your energy returns. Isn't it wild how much lighter you feel when you simply whisper, Lord, I cannot carry this alone. I give it to you. Suddenly, the impossible doesn't look so impossible anymore. Let's break this down. Life gives you two buckets. One bucket holds what you can do. The other bucket holds what only God can do. Stress comes when you keep dipping your hands into the wrong bucket. You try to control outcomes, people's opinions, the future, the past, and you get crushed. But peace comes when you finally release the second bucket and say, God, this is yours. That's not laziness, that's wisdom. Think about a child carrying a bag that's too heavy. He struggles, he cries, he stumbles. But when he lets his father carry it, he's free to walk with joy again. Isn't that exactly what we do with life? We cling to burdens too heavy for us when our Father is right there, waiting to carry them for us. And here's the powerful part. When you release the burden, you don't just find peace, you unlock creativity and energy. Worry is like a thief. It steals focus, joy, and clarity. But when the weight is lifted, your mind is free to see solutions you couldn't see before. That's why so many breakthroughs happen when people finally let go and trust. But let me ask you this. What is the burden you're carrying right now? Is it the fear of not being enough? The pressure to please everyone? The guilt of past mistakes? Or maybe it's the constant question, what if I fail? Whatever it is, understand this. You were not designed to carry it forever. You were designed to hand it over. That's why the act of surrender feels so freeing, because it's natural, it's how you were created to live. Now, releasing the burden doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. Challenges will still come, storms will still rise. But the difference is this, you face them without being crushed under the weight. You face them with a lighter spirit, with faith in your step, with resilience in your heart. And that changes everything. Picture two climbers going up a mountain. One refuses to drop his heavy bag filled with unnecessary rocks. The other releases what isn't needed and climbs with only the essentials. Who reaches the top faster? Who enjoys the view more? The answer is obvious. The same principle applies to life. When you let go of unnecessary weight, you rise higher, faster, freer. This is why so many people live stuck. They are chained to old stories, old fears, old mistakes. They drag yesterday's pain into today and then wonder why tomorrow feels heavy too. But the truth is, you don't have to. You can release the burden right here, right now. You can say, Lord, I give you my past, my fear, my stress. I will walk light, I will walk free. That's not weakness, that's strength in action. And here's the beauty. When you release the burden, you make space for blessings. Imagine holding two fists full of heavy stones. You cannot catch anything new. You cannot receive a gift because your hands are already full. But the moment you drop the stones, your hands are open, ready to receive. That's exactly how life works. So ask yourself, what stones are you carrying that you need to drop today? Which weights are keeping you from moving forward? And are you willing, truly willing, to release them and trust that God will handle what you cannot? Because the moment you do, peace enters, clarity appears, and strength grows. Say it out loud if you feel it. I release the burden. I release the fear. I release the stress. Lord, I give it to you today. And watch how everything changes when your spirit is finally free. Think about it. Life never comes with a manual. You don't get a map showing every detail of your journey. You don't get a guarantee that every plan will work. And yet, people still move forward, still chase dreams, still love, still build, still create. Why? Because somewhere deep inside, there's faith. Faith that says, even if I don't see the whole road, I trust that the next step will appear. That's what living with faith in the unknown looks like. Let's take an example. When a pilot flies a plane at night, most of the time he can't see the runway until the last moments of descent. The cockpit is dark, the sky is uncertain, but he still trusts the instruments, the radar, the training. He doesn't panic because he knows, even if he can't see it yet, the runway is there. Isn't that just like life? You may not see the full picture, but when you trust, you can still land safely. Now here's the educational part. Psychologists say that uncertainty is one of the biggest triggers of human anxiety. Our brains crave predictability. That's why people worry endlessly. They want to feel in control. But here's the paradox: control is an illusion. You can plan, prepare, and predict, but life will still throw you surprises. And when you cling too tightly, fear eats you alive. But when you lean into faith, peace replaces panic, hope replaces doubt, courage replaces hesitation. Faith in the unknown doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means facing reality with a deeper trust. It means saying, yes, I don't know how this will turn out, but I believe something good can come from it. I believe God has a plan. I believe the unknown is not my enemy. It's the place where miracles are born. Look at history. Every great inventor, leader, and dreamer had to walk into the unknown. Thomas Edison didn't know if the light bulb would ever work. The Wright brothers didn't know if humans could fly. Explorers didn't know if there was land across the ocean. They all faced uncertainty, and yet they stepped forward anyway. Why? Because their faith was bigger than their fear, and because of that, they changed the world. But let's make it personal. Maybe you're standing at the edge of a decision right now. Maybe it's a career change, a relationship, a business idea, a move to a new city, and your mind keeps whispering, what if it doesn't work? But faith asks a better question. But what if it does? What if the unknown is not the place where you fail, but the place where you finally rise? Think of a seed planted in the ground. It sits in darkness, buried unseen. But in that unknown soil, life is forming, growth is happening, roots are being built. And one day, it breaks through into the light. That's exactly how faith in the unknown works. You may feel buried, but you are really being planted. You may feel lost, but you are actually being prepared. So how do you live this truth every day? You remind yourself of 3 things. I don't need to see the whole road to take the first step. 1 step is enough to move forward. Uncertainty is not my enemy. It's the space where faith becomes real. If I knew everything, I wouldn't need faith. God is already in the unknown. What feels uncertain to me is already clear to him. That's why I can trust and walk forward with courage. And here's the beauty. You don't have to wait for fear to disappear before you move. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite the fear. It's that inner voice that says, yes, I'm scared. Yes, I don't know. But yes, I trust anyway. That's power. The most beautiful things in your life will come from the places you couldn't predict. The people you'll meet, the opportunities that will surprise you, the blessings that will overflow, none of it will come from your comfort zone. It will all come from the unknown. And the only way to step into it without breaking down is to carry faith like a torch. So ask yourself right now, are you letting fear of the unknown hold you hostage? Or are you willing to say, Lord, I trust you. Even if I can't see it, I believe you can. Even if I don't know the path, I know you know the destination. Because once you say that, something shifts inside you. You stop resisting life, and you start walking into it with boldness. Faith in the unknown is not just an idea. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's a daily decision to trade panic for peace, control for trust, and fear for faith. And when you live like that, the unknown stops being scary. It becomes exciting. It becomes a place of possibility, of miracles, of transformation. We live in a world that glorifies the big moment, the promotion, the breakthrough, the victory speech, the life-changing miracle. But here's the truth: nobody tells you those big miracles are built on small, consistent steps that nobody notices. The world might see the finish line, but God sees every step you took to get there. And sometimes, the smallest step you take in faith can open the biggest door in your future. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning and choose gratitude instead of complaining, that's a small step. When you choose kindness over anger, discipline over distraction, prayer over panic, that's a small step. And yet, over time, those little steps build momentum, and momentum builds miracles. Isn't it powerful how something so small can carry so much weight? Science confirms this. Behavioral psychology teaches us the concept of compound effect. It's simply small actions repeated consistently multiply into massive change over time. One workout won't transform your body, but 100 workouts will. One kind word won't heal the world, but a habit of kindness can heal a family, a community, even generations. And spiritually, the principle is the same. When you surrender your day to God, you're not asking Him for a giant miracle instantly. You're showing faith through daily obedience. You're saying, Lord, I will do my part today and I trust you to multiply it. And somehow, mysteriously, God takes those small seeds of action and grows them into trees of blessing. Let me give you an example. Think about David in the Bible. He didn't become a king overnight. He started as a shepherd boy, taking small, faithful steps, protecting his sheep, practicing with a slingshot, learning to trust God in the field. Those steps looked ordinary, but one day, they prepared him to face Goliath. And in that moment, the world saw a miracle. But God knew it was built on years of small steps. And isn't that how life works? The small prayer you whisper today, the act of discipline when no one is watching, the decision to keep moving forward when it would be easier to quit, those are the steps that carry you toward your miracle. People may overlook them, but heaven never does. Here's the problem though, most people want the miracle without the steps. They want the reward without the process. They say, God, bless me with abundance. But they refuse to take the small steps of budgeting, saving, working faithfully. They say, God, heal my relationships, but they won't take the small step of apologizing, forgiving, or showing patience. They say, God, give me strength, but they won't take the step of showing up when life feels heavy. But listen, miracles don't fall out of the sky. They grow from the seeds of your daily actions. Think of it like this. If you plant a seed today, you don't see fruit tomorrow. You water it, you protect it, you give it sunlight. Day by day it grows roots you cannot see. Then one day it breaks the soil and soon after you taste the fruit. That's the miracle. But it only came because you kept taking small steps every single day. And let me tell you something powerful. God doesn't measure success by size. He measures it by faithfulness. That means even your smallest step counts. Waking up and saying, Lord, guide me today is a step. Choosing to keep going when you feel tired is a step. Smiling through pain and refusing to give up is a step. And sometimes that one small step is all God needs to show you something extraordinary. Ask yourself, what small step can you take today? Maybe it's making one phone call you've been afraid of. Maybe it's spending 5 minutes in prayer before checking your phone. Maybe it's choosing to forgive instead of holding a grudge. It may feel small, but it carries weight beyond what you can imagine. Because when small steps align with faith, they create big miracles. Look at nature. Rivers carve valleys not in a day, but by taking millions of tiny drops of water flowing consistently. Mountains are climbed one step at a time. Books are written one page at a time. Lives are transformed one choice at a time. So why do we think our journey should be any different? And here's the beauty. You don't have to take the whole staircase, just the next step. That's where most people get stuck. They look at the giant mountain ahead and freeze in fear. But if you just focus on the step in front of you, eventually you'll look back and realize you've climbed farther than you ever imagined. So remember this. Never underestimate the power of small steps. One act of faith today could ripple into a miracle tomorrow. One moment of obedience could open a lifetime of blessings. And sometimes what feels like a tiny action to you is the very thing God uses to move mountains. Say it with me now. Small steps, big miracles. Every step I take in faith counts, and every step brings me closer to my breakthrough. Have you ever walked into a room and felt heavy without anyone saying a word? That's energy. Have you ever met someone whose presence instantly calmed you, lifted you, or inspired you? That's energy too. The truth is, your energy speaks louder than your words, louder than your appearance, louder than anything else. And here's the secret. You have the power to shift your energy, and when you shift it, everything around you begins to shift too. Energy is simply the vibration of your thoughts, emotions, and focus. When you're trapped in doubt, your energy becomes heavy. When you're stressed, your energy becomes chaotic. When you're fearful, your energy becomes closed off. But when you choose faith, gratitude, and confidence, your energy rises, and suddenly, doors that seem locked begin to open. Science backs this up. Neuroscience shows us that our thoughts create chemical reactions in the brain. Stressful thoughts release cortisol, the stress hormone, which drains your body and weakens your immune system. But hopeful, empowering thoughts release dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals that energize your mind and body. Isn't that powerful? By shifting your thoughts, you literally shift your energy, and by shifting your energy, you change how you show up in the world. Think about a time when you were anxious before a big decision. Your hands were sweaty, your mind was racing, your chest felt tight. That was energy. Now think about a time when you felt unstoppable, maybe after accomplishing something, maybe after a moment of prayer, maybe when you just knew everything would work out. Your body was lighter, your breath was calm, your smile was natural. That was also energy. The circumstances may not have changed instantly, but your energy did, and that changed how you experienced everything. Here's the truth. Life will not always hand you perfect situations. Challenges will come, setbacks will come, disappointments will come, but you always have a choice in how you respond. You can stay in the energy of fear, or you can shift into the energy of faith. You can stay in the energy of stress, or you can step into the energy of calm. That's where real strength is, not in controlling everything, but in shifting how you carry yourself in the middle of it all. And don't underestimate this. Your energy doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. If you walk into your home filled with negativity, everyone feels it. If you enter your workplace radiating doubt, your team feels it. But if you walk in with confidence, calm, and gratitude, people naturally rise to meet your energy. That's why energy shift is so powerful. It's not only personal, it's contagious. Look at leaders, teachers, or speakers who inspire you. They don't just use words, they carry an energy that makes you believe. They shift the atmosphere when they walk into the room. And the good news is, you can do the same. You don't need fame, a title, or a stage to shift energy. You just need awareness and intention. The way you breathe, the way you speak, the way you focus, these small choices shift your energy every single moment. So how do you do it practically? Start with awareness. Notice when your thoughts spiral into negativity. Notice when your body feels heavy. Then pause, take a breath, and consciously choose a higher perspective. Say to yourself, I will not stay in this energy. I will shift it. I will breathe deeper, think higher, trust greater. Do you feel that shift already? Prayer shifts energy. Gratitude shifts energy. Even a simple smile can shift energy. When you pray, your focus moves from fear to faith. When you practice gratitude, your mind stops obsessing over what's missing and celebrates what's present. When you smile, even through pain, your brain releases endorphins that lighten your spirit. These are not just rituals, they are energy resets. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you're stuck in the frequency of stress, all you'll hear is noise and chaos. But when you adjust the dial, suddenly the music becomes clear. That's what energy shift is, tuning yourself to the frequency of faith, peace, and confidence. And when you're tuned in, life feels clearer, smoother, more aligned. And here's something deeper. God responds to energy. When you pray with fear, your words are shaky. But when you pray with faith, your words carry authority. When you walk with doubt, opportunities hesitate to come your way. But when you walk with confidence, doors begin to open. The energy you carry is like a magnet. It either repels or attracts. So ask yourself, what energy are you radiating right now? Let's imagine two people facing the same storm. One is saying, why me? I can't do this. His energy is heavy and the storm feels bigger than it is. The other says, Lord, I trust you. I don't see the way, but I know you'll make one. His energy is lighter, and even in the storm, he feels steady. The storm is the same, but the energy is different, and so is the outcome. Remember, shifting energy is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about deciding how you will carry yourself in imperfection. It's about saying, yes, the challenge is real, but so is my faith. Yes, the stress is real, but so is my peace. Yes, the doubt is real, but so is my confidence. That's the mindset that shifts everything. So take this in. Your energy is your responsibility. No one else can shift it for you. You decide if you will live in heaviness or in lightness, in fear or in faith, in stress or in peace. And once you choose the shift, you'll see how people respond to you differently, how opportunities flow differently, how life itself seems to open in ways you couldn't imagine. Say it with me now. I choose the shift. From doubt to confidence, from stress to calm, from fear to faith. My energy is my power, and I will carry it with strength. When you truly surrender your day to God, when you release the burden, when you choose faith in the unknown, when you take small steps and shift your energy, something incredible happens. You start to see the results. Not someday in the far future, but right here, in the way your life unfolds moment by moment. The problem is, most people expect results only in the form of big, dramatic miracles. They think, if God is with me, I'll win the lottery, I'll get instant success, I'll never struggle again. But the truth is, results show up in ways you might not even recognize at first. Sometimes the result is not the miracle itself, but the peace you feel while waiting for it. Sometimes the result is not the door you asked for opening, but the wrong door closing so you don't waste years walking down the wrong path. Think about this. You start your morning saying, Lord, I give this day to you. Later that day, a problem comes up. Normally you'd panic, stress, and overthink. But instead you pause, breathe, and say, God's got this. That peace you feel, that calm you carry, that's already a result. It's proof that surrender works. That trust is stronger than fear. And here's the deeper part. Results are not only external, they're internal. You may not see a mountain move in front of you, but you feel the mountain of anxiety move inside you. You may not see an instant breakthrough, but you feel strength rising where weakness used to live. That's a result. Because sometimes the greatest miracle is not the change outside, but the transformation inside. Science even supports this. Studies on prayer, gratitude, and faith show measurable changes in the brain. People who surrender and trust higher guidance have lower stress, stronger immune systems, and better emotional resilience. Imagine that! Your faith is not just a belief, it literally rewires your brain and body to handle life better. That's a result worth celebrating every single day. Now let's talk about external results too. When you walk with faith, opportunities come that you couldn't have planned. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the right person calls you at the right time, the right idea comes when you need it most, or a problem you thought would crush you somehow works out in your favor? That's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's the fruit of living surrendered. That's the result of saying, Lord, this day is yours. But here's the catch. Results don't always look like what you expected. Sometimes God gives you results in disguise. You pray for strength, and He gives you challenges that build it. You pray for patience, and He gives you situations that test it. You pray for growth, and He pushes you out of your comfort zone. At first, it feels uncomfortable, maybe even unfair. But later, you look back and realize those were the exact results you needed to become who you are today. Think of it like a workout. You don't see results on day one. Your muscles feel sore, your body feels tired, and you wonder if it's even working. But if you stay consistent, one day you look in the mirror and realize you're stronger, leaner, healthier. That's how surrender works too. You may not see instant results, but stay faithful, and one day you'll realize your heart is stronger, your mind is clearer, your spirit is freer. That's transformation. Let me ask you this, how many times have you been through something you didn't understand at the time, but later you realized it was the best thing that could have happened to you? Maybe you lost an opportunity, but then a better one came. Maybe a relationship ended, but it made space for true love. Maybe a closed door redirected you to your true calling. That's what happens when you give your day to God. Results show up in ways you couldn't plan, but they're always exactly what you needed. And the beautiful thing is this. Results aren't just about you. When you live surrendered, when you walk with faith, people around you notice. Your calm inspires others. Your courage gives hope. Your light lifts someone else's darkness. That ripple effect, that impact on others, is also a result. Because when God works in you, He also works through you. So don't limit your definition of results. Yes, sometimes they're financial breakthroughs, healed relationships, open doors, and visible blessings. But often, the greatest results are unseen: peace, joy, strength, resilience, alignment, purpose. And when you carry those inside, the external blessings eventually follow too. Think about it. A tree doesn't show fruit on day one. It grows roots first. The roots are invisible, but they're the most important result, because without them, the fruit would never last. In the same way, when you surrender daily, God is building roots in you, deep roots of faith, strength, and wisdom. And one day, those roots will bear fruit that everyone can see. So ask yourself, are you paying attention to the results already happening in your life? Are you noticing the peace in your heart, the lessons in your challenges, the growth in your struggles, the unexpected blessings in your path, because results are always there when you give your day to God. They may not look dramatic, but they are always real. Say this with me: I trust the process. I trust the results. I trust that every step I take in faith is producing something great in me. Even if I don't see it yet, I believe it's happening.